The United States men's national team returned to action in St. Louis, Missouri, second leg of the Nations League quarterfinal. Jason,
Yeah.
long ball number one. What do you
Yeah.
want to see tonight in St. Louis?
Improvement. Is that good enough or is that specific enough? No, it's
Yep,
not,
pack
right?
it up, call it a day. That's the
That's it.
show.
We're done. That's it. That's all you need to know. Improvement. No, I think obviously difficult environment, difficult situation, difficult field, difficult weather, difficult everything down there in Kingston. Got the job done. Won a game. Again, we talked about this on Friday. We could relitigate the penalty, which was caused by Matt Turner and then saved by Matt Turner. The clearance off the line by Yunus Musa. The potential handball on Tim Ream, excuse me. There are a couple of things from that game that go, oh, I don't know. I'm kind of bothered by that, a little worried. Jamaica didn't really push them, right? There was no effort from Jamaica to throw numbers forward. Now we find out Michail Antonio, who did not play in that game because of suspension, didn't even travel to St. Louis for a game he would have been eligible for. So that's a big piece off the board for Jamaica and Steve McLaren. They are not in a great place right now, down a goal going to St. Louis. I think I don't like making huge demands of this team, particularly in this moment with a new head coach, Robert. But I do think something pretty decisive. And it doesn't have to be 3 or 4 or 5. It can be a 2-0 victory that feels more comfortable. It can be lots more of the ball, lots more usage of the ball in effective ways, creating numerous chances. Let's get Ricardo Pepi another goal so we can get him really revved up to be the number 1, number 9 for this U.S. men's national team. How about those things, Robert?
Those all sound like very good things. Measured improvement. I mean, that's good to hear, or good. I'd love to see that. I mean, no mistakes. Yeah, tidy up the mistakes. Get the same kind of result.
Yeah.
Tidy up the mistakes. Let's not see any wayward square balls in our own third that lead to dangerous situations. You know, a professional, calm, reserve within
Professional.
themselves
I like
sort
that
of
word.
performance.
Professional. Let's keep everybody healthy. That's always a thing, right? Let's make sure everybody stays healthy. And otherwise, now in terms of like differences in how Pochettino sets them up, that's something, we know Johnny Cardoso is now out and going to miss this game. So he substituted Malik Tillman into the match. Tanner Tessman got the start alongside Cardoso, played with him for 20 minutes at home, where again, Jamaica's counterattack is still dangerous. You still have to be concerned about it on some level. But at home, does Pochettino decide, okay, I only need one holder, right? I only need one holding midfielder. It can be Tessman. Maybe it's even Busio in this game, who did come on and play in Kingston. Again, Ricardo Pepi to start, Pulisic to start, McKennie to start. Yes, please. Tim Weah is available. Wonder what about that wrinkle? Does that change anything? We wondered about wingbacks down in Kingston. It didn't really set up initially like that, although, again, Musa was kind of drifting in places, and Scally was tucking inside at times, and Robinson's up and down the flank because that's what he does anyway. Does Tim Weah start? If so, who is sacrificed for Tim Weah? If you take a holding midfielder out of the situation, because you had 2 in Kingston, you do have an open spot higher up the field, or you could play. Again, you could play 2 number 8s, although exactly how that looks, I don't know. So there's a couple of things here that are kind of intriguing about what Pochettino might do in St. Louis.
My mind's a little bit cloudy. There was a lot of weekend since the first leg. Who played down the right for the United States in leg 1 on Thursday night?
Again, nominally Yunus Musa was in that position, and Weston McKennie was tucked further inside. But of course, everything kind of floats. Right? Again, Scally was getting into that space on the overlap at times. He's not super effective at it, but Musa was tucking in. He also at times can play, again, more as a wing back when you have Scally tucked in as a third center back, and those other midfielders can push higher up the field. So, and you can always drop one of those midfielders if necessary, if both of your fullbacks are up the field. So there's a lot of things happening there.
Is there any other defenders, center backs that you'd like to see that we didn't see a whole lot of? I mean, there
Oh
wasn't there was
man,
some wobbly moments for sure in the back
sure.
line for the United States. Is there anyone else that you'd like to see get a run out?
I mean, it's not. I don't. It was wobbly, but again, you kind of consider the situation, and is it? Do you hammer Tim Ream and
Okay.
McKenzie for their play? Austin Trusty is a player I like. Again, I'm not sure he's getting challenged all that much at Celtic right now, so there is that to consider. But again, you kind of have to get to a place of let's see somebody else besides Tim Ream. And maybe that's not Austin Trusty. Maybe it's Miles Robinson, although I don't think anybody is super high on his ceiling being good enough to be part of a strong defense going into the World Cup in 2026.
You touched on Jamaica's availability a little bit there. It was kind of fun to see Steve McLaren's natural position of anguish on the sidelines. I don't know how many times I've seen
Yeah.
him happy, and he had his ceremonial head and hands, as I know him for
Yeah.
his times in England.
Yeah.
I'm curious if on the upswing, obviously they got Liam Bailey back in the mix. That's good to see him. But also, you said that the forward
Mikhail
for
Antonio. Yeah.
Antonio is out. So are
West Ham. Yeah.
they getting players back in the fold, or are they losing players again?
Well, I mean, I think there's always this question of the rift or the division between the English players who are choosing to play for Jamaica, who are part of the diaspora, and the Jamaican-born players. I don't have enough of information on the intricacies of those relationships to talk about them. I mean, they've added some extra players to that group, and is that again? I don't know that it makes them better until they figure out how to make all this stuff work. I will go back a minute. We talked about center backs. Certainly should mention Chris Richards, who I think, again, maybe a surprise that we didn't see him in that first leg get the start and get it up. But then again, I think coming back from injury for Chris Richards, so where his fitness is maybe a question, and maybe they didn't want to risk him on that field in particular. I think that's could be part of the story. So again, some things for the U.S. men's national team, and as much as it's like, oh, don't take beating Jamaica for granted. Don't look past Jamaica. You can't look past anybody, even in CONCACAF. This is a team the U.S. should beat fairly comfortably at home in front of what should be a partisan crowd. I think there were a couple thousand tickets left last time I saw an update. Usually Stephen Goff of the Washington Post has those. I think that they're going to go closer to game time. We should have what amounts to mostly a full house there in St. Louis, and that's every reason to expect a strong performance from the U.S. Demand a strong performance from the U.S.
Yeah, curious to see what the atmosphere is like in St. Louis. Last week when we reviewed the game, you noted that there was a little bit of apathy just in general about this team. So we'll see what the energy levels are like in St. Louis tonight at 8. USA taking in a 1-0 aggregate lead coming into the second leg of Nations League quarterfinal action.